going to go right on the record here just to start the show. Going to get us right on here and just assure our fans that no animals are harmed in the making of the Steam Gentleman. Okay, we do not do any animal testing whatsoever. This is, completely just because we're three guys who own cats. Everybody starts to worry about maybe where we stand on animal testing, but we are a no animal testing show. I just wanted to, put that out there on the record officially. I think it's important to do these things, to take these stands in the podcasting world.
Once again, there are limits to our no king shaming.
Yeah, fair enough. I think, really no shaming, but we don't have to endorse either, right? I mean, to not shame does in fact mean, that doesn't mean an endorsement either.
Right.
And there are, as you said, there are limits, particularly in that. But yes, animal testing. No, I'm not down for it. We can have lip balm that we don't need to stick in some poor bunny rabbit's eye. I'm just saying,
I agree.
I don't know, man. The way a lot of people have been treating science the last, let's say, 3 years, maybe 2.5.
Coincidentally, yeah. Just why would you say that?
I don't understand why we're even bothering animals. We can probably use half our population because they don't agree with science anyway. So just
how do you know that's not what they're doing? That's not what they're doing with the hoax at the same time.
And that's exactly how we entered the tinfoil hat zone. People, welcome.
Exactly. Well, tinfoil, get that tinfoil hat nice and snug because the Steam Gentlemen are back in their tunnels once again, talking to each other. Once again, really, we're here. We say we just want to talk about pop culture and social commentary, but this is our way that the three of us decided we could rule the world. This is our own little Illuminati triad, build a burger, whatever it is, right? We just figure that,
Wait, this is what we settled on?
This is what we settled on. I'm just saying.
I gotta tell you, I got minutes from that meeting and I don't remember that. If this is what we settled on, we're fucked. We're James Bond villain fucked.
Somebody in here said, at some point I'm pointing out that the mask mandates were never supposed to go away whatsoever. And we agreed on that in the meeting minutes. Next week, what do I see? People, dropping their masks left, right, and center like it's, bikini tops on a spring break, right? Boom. Next thing you know, does anybody listen to me? We had the minutes. We voted. We agreed. So I'm back to, you all thought it was the 5G phones. You all thought it was whatever was going to do it. But in fact, it's pop culture, right? It's the movies we watch. I think we can use that as an effective use of mind control.
Fair enough.
I went on one spring break trip in my life. It was to the shore of North Carolina. It was in the middle of March, so it went exactly how you thought it would go. And the only thing that dropped was our expectations from day to day, to the point where we were just happy to see anyone at the end of the trip.
You did not end up, as a matter of fact, storming a drug lord's beach there with two co-eds and a couple of back tens, right? That didn't happen.
I gotta tell you, if it did, no one told me. So they had a way better trip than me. The most excitement I had was on the way back when my friends, one friend said he could drive standard, he can't, and the other friend believed him. And it was only until about 4 hours later when smoke was consuming the entire interior of the car, and we had to pull over because that transition left us like 100 miles back, and we were just kind of figuring things out from there. So that's where the excitement kicked in. Unfortunately, there was no storming of anything with any co-eds. That
does sound like a real spring break, to be honest.
We were flirting with the gas and sip woman by like midweek, and that woman was pushing like 60 something by like, this is like 1999. So God bless her. She was there for us. But
honey, I asked if you wanted menthols or regular. That's all I'm asking for.
she's like, look, sweetie, if you can deal with my gout and my kids, no problem. I'm like, how about we deal with this fake license? It was called a day.
Yeah.
How about you just,
I just made myself sound way cooler. I never had a fake license, people. I was so nerdy. I was so scared of those things. I just made myself sound so cool. I didn't have to fake. I sent someone else in there for that. I was too scared.
Like,
for that
I wasn't McLovin. I was not McLovin. All right.
No, I wasn't even his friends.
I wasn't even Jonah Hill running around with the booze in the Tide container. It's just, which that's a whole nother area we could certainly break down. But yes, it is the Steam Gentleman back in here, back in to, put some subversive thoughts in your ear holes today. You have heard from the crew, but want to give the formal introduction to the Three of Clubs himself, the king of spring break, as he will henceforth be known, RaShaun Smith. How are you doing on this fine? Well, we're recording on a Marathon Monday here.
I am with the other Steam Gentlemen, so I am doing fantastic and fabulous. How are you two?
Oh, well, I am happy to be here. It's a beautiful day. Nice spring day. And then I just heard my man, the Star Child, chime in there, Mr. Greg DeSense. How's it going there, Greg?
Oh, I'm ready to do our thing, man. Talk about one of the many, many reasons the 90s was overrated.
Yes, Greg. RaShaun, I mean, I don't know. I do look back at the 90s as my heyday, which says a lot. So, yeah. when you're looking back at the decade of slap bracelets and beepers as kind of the height, the peak. All right, that's telling you something about yourself. But all right, we're gonna, it's a decade. It happened.
It did indeed happen.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that I didn't have a few choker necklaces that stayed on way too long. But luckily, being a black man who lost his hair right around his 20th year of existence, I didn't have to worry about frosted tips or any bad, sort of fashion when it comes to hair like that. And I was normally on the pudgy side outside of my football season, so you didn't have to ever catch me in like some weird mesh shirt from Spencer's, because there was that weird period of time in the late 90s where everyone looked like they were just shopping at Spencer's. I don't know how that happened, but it got there. So I feel like I skipped a few of these horrible trends and things that Greg definitely did, and he's just lying about, and that's probably the reason why he hates it so much.
In high school, shit. In high school, my hair was pretty basic, actually. Yeah, no, I never did anything too stupid with my hair, and I'm proud of that.
But
oh no, that was full stop. Okay, wait a minute. Oh shit! Thank you, RaShaun.
How those Jayco jeans fitting these days? Because I know you got a few.
That's right. I did in my because I used to be a radical before I just gave up because it's fucked. And I remember I actually had a Malcolm X shaved into the back of my head.
Oh damn! Yes,
I did do that. I did do that one time.
Fucking love it. I fucking love it.
I did that.
That did you know? Well, I guess I guess when you go X, I don't know if you're going in one direction. No medallion with Africa with the three.
No, that was we all would just stand around and be angry and black.
Yeah.
And angry. And it's like, everybody, had to have that, we're a tribe. So everybody had to have something that showed, how black and angry you were. So you had to have something. I picked that because, somebody else had like the wooden jewelry and shit, and he had the cane. My friend Darnell had a trench coat. It was red, black, and green. Like we were just, we were.
Wait, the trench coat was red, black, and green?
Yeah, it was a long ass trench coat.
Oh, yeah,
it was like down to his ankles, and it was like all black. But when you opened it, it was red, black, and green stripes.
That's fucking awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it was.
I just,
incredible.
I just knew the goths and all that, and they just had the long black trench coat.
We were basically, militant goths.
Dig it. Well, we have, as you have.
We were Afrocentric goths. I'm gonna make sure I send that to them on Facebook.
There is a picture of me out there for those who dig deep enough of me with the Matt Damon haircut. I'm just saying, yeah, it happened. And it's a little awkward just because of, like what it was. Yeah, there you go. And it seems to like coincide with, like that haircut. I will give you this. It seemed to be non-binary because there are pictures of men and women with that haircut, with the kind of, nice and short in the back and the long hair going to either side and all that. So yeah, that may have been my foray into the 90s and the later 90s, like 94.
That was a big boy band thing too.
There.
I think I know the hair you're talking about.
Yeah, see, I was trying to save you by just focusing on Frosted Tips, but yeah, if you want to go ahead and snitch on yourself, go ahead, man.
No,
break out those side bangs.
Frosted, the side bangs is what I had. The Frosted Tips, I think would have at least been, I don't know, maybe funnier or at least something I could hang my hat on a little bit more. But no, I went side bangs. That's how that went.
Side
part right down with the part right down the middle. But we are the Steam Gentlemen. We are here, and yes, we are back doing another little countdown episode of the most useless, the least wanted villains of the 1990s, of that fine a decade of decadence that we were speaking of, when the world seemed maybe just for a moment that it would not be an unmitigated shit show, and then Bill Clinton decided to take on Sister Souljah just because he had to be tough. And so maybe was it the beginning, was that when Tipper took on the music industry too? Is that when
Tipper Gore did? Yeah,
Tipper Gore, started, was that the 90s, the 80s? I couldn't remember, with
it was like end of the 80s. Al Gore. Yeah. And they went after Prince.
Yeah, it's Prince. They would,
Well, I did inform the people a couple episodes back about Two Live Crew being arrested in Florida for doing a concert. That was the start of actually most of this.
So, we all thought maybe we'd come into a different era. We did have started the decade off with a war in 91. So yeah, that going, we did have George H.W. as president there. And, kind of came into that period where, a lot of us ended up in college, hanging out, thinking we knew something. We knew not a fucking thing. But at that time, we were still consuming pop culture. We still had our bad guys and various people to take on. So I'm gonna step on up to the plate, and I'm gonna start talking about some of the most useless villains that we had. So, all right, folks, this is a 90s list, and that there's no way in hell that we could possibly go into a 90s list without talking about JKVD. There's no case there. Yes, I want to go with I like this world, but he was in the 80s. I mean, that would have been the best.
Damn it, I should have went first.
Yeah, I know. It would have been the best one to take on without a doubt, without being without getting too deep into it. But I got to go into, and I feel almost bad doing this because of poor Raul Julia. It really wasn't his fault, but you have to go with the fact that they made a movie out. This was one of the first movies I can remember them ever making out of a video game. And sure enough, they made Street Fighter. And well, Jean-Claude Van Damme was going to step up to the plate and take on M. Bison of all people. So, what could we do? What could we possibly expect? And how could anything get better when we were doing Street Fighter? And yes, because clearly when you have a world crisis at hand, when you need to call in the UN, you call in Jean-Claude Van Damme. And clearly going on, but maybe like a world crisis here, maybe Mr. Putin of all people could learn something from nevertheless Mr. Bison. And instead of sending your armies to handle your shit, you in fact just have to throw down and throw hands. Now, as I say, I feel really bad because Raul Julia was in fact dying during this movie, and just riddled with cancer, the poor guy. And so, of course, to be honest, talking about spinning gold from absolute shit, there's no way you could do anything better in this with this particular script and with this particular franchise, because for fuck's sake, it was Street Fighter. I mean, Street Fighter 2, no less, really was what they were doing. They weren't even doing the original Street Fighter. They were doing Street Fighter 2, taking us back to our last week's episode when we talked about video games. We didn't even get into the combinations you could throw and the silliness that they had to work into the screen time. But really, I mean, even when you look at the Street Fighter game, it was like, what are you doing here, man? You're going around on a platform with the big map straight out of Dr. Strangelove in the background, throwing off your cape and, kicking, throwing your high kicks and what have you. But this is your plan? Just to kick some ass. Okay. All right. You're just the baddest dude in the room. And by the way, somehow, I mean, I'll give you credit for this. Somehow you managed to, for those of you unfamiliar with the fine vintage wine that Street Fighter and Street Fighter 2 are, one of the guys you fight is a large, hairy were beast from Brazil, right? who can Blanca, actually electrify himself, right? Blanca, meaning what white. And he's green.
Well, he's green, but God.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, taking aside the irony of the name there, he can electrify himself like an eel. So somehow, if you manage to rise past that dude and rise past Zangief, no less, who did go on to make a nice cameo in Wreck-It Ralph. And being a hirsute gentleman myself, I do always like that Zangief seemed to really trim that hair. He really sculpted that hair. I don't think it grew in that way naturally, right? He has a cross of chest hair on his chest in between his pecs, but it looks like a nice Christian cross, man. It just grows in just perfectly so. But yeah, all right. So right off the top, I gotta go there. Second, though, we gotta talk about aliens and just what are you doing right now? What are you doing? And going to the biggest blockbuster, one of the biggest blockbusters of all time. And, all right, we're going to, forget about recent incidences with one of the stars. But the very fact of the matter was Independence Day. Okay, guys, let me get this straight. Let me get this fucking straight. You came all the way across galaxies, at least. Okay, if you were in this own galaxy, you would have to travel at the speed of light for hundreds of years to make it from one side to the other. So we'll just say they're in the Milky Way. We won't even talk about crossing the immense spans of black space, of dark matter, just traveling from interstellar travel, going from one to the other. But you come all the way here. You take your sweet ass time. You position all of your giant saucers over all of the world's population centers and get things going just to the extent that you want it. Drop huge bombs, start killing people left, right, and center. And you are taken down by one of the earliest MacBooks known to mankind. I'm not even talking a good MacBook like I'm recording on right now. I'm talking a Mac during the earlier days of Steve Jobs when he's wrestling with Microsoft, and Microsoft at that point had the edge. I'm sorry, I hate to break it to everybody, but at that point, technologically speaking, if you're taking down an alien, you're not using a Mac. And somehow you can get that, you travel all of this, you've got all these plans figured out for just clear subjugation and just to rape and pillage the planet and just to take it on. But yeah, what's going to bring you down is, in fact, a MacBook that can just with the command, no less, of implant computer virus. I think it says that in there. He just says run virus. I don't
know. I don't remember if it was on a thumb drive, but yeah, it was basically that simple.
Are you kidding me? A thumb drive? No,
there was no thumb drive. No, there was no thumb drive.
That would have been technologically advanced for that.
Excuse me. Yeah, I was like, was that a thumb drive? I have no idea.
No, I mean, back then they had SCSIs, for crying out loud, So it was just, it was like, okay, so
I'm pretty sure it was a
Jeff
355 hard.
Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith hop in the spaceship and go up with, a substandard Mac, like not even, this is pre-iPhone, pre-everything. Steve Jobs still trying to take over the world. And, I guess he got pissed at the aliens and whatever. So, yeah. All right. So that's what takes that and crazy, and drunken Randy Quaid, who apparently wasn't acting at that point, so that's what takes you down. But then, to be honest, though, if you really take a look at it, I got to go to my last villain of the 90s, also a bunch of aliens that make, you guys look like absolutely, you guys look like Super Bowl athletes compared to the junior varsity that are the spiders in Starship Troopers. Really, once again. All right. So firstly, you just throw you throw an asteroid, which by the way, would be an incredibly effective way to take out the human race. But apparently you only throw like one asteroid to take out Buenos Aires, when the real bad guys we all know are the Nazis that are apparently running the planet, as Verhoeven really just, man, he leaned in hard on all of those costumes in that, man. There was just no subtlety in that, especially when Doogie Himmler showed up. You knew all bets were fucking off, okay? You had Neil Patrick Harris showing up in a full leather trench suit that looked like he was a member of all that was missing was the Totenkopf on his collar, okay? All right? Hugo, who wore it better, him or Hugo Weaving, who was actually playing a Nazi? And I think I got to give the edge to NPH, who was, pretending he wasn't playing a Nazi at that point. But in all of this, with all of this, you don't throw enough rocks to just completely darken the earth and make it so we can't eat anything and really take out the human race that way. You don't really even have to engage, but you decide to engage on a one-to-one basis. And yeah, listen, I'm a Gen Xer here, but if you're telling me that you can't stand up to an army of, the best you can, the best you can do is try and stand up and go toe to toe with an army of Gen Xers and you lose. No, I'm sorry. that's terrible. That's just completely. Yeah. You had Michael Ironsides, like he was the badass, but even he got his ass kicked, right? You were mentioning him last week, I think, RaShaun. So call back to last week's episode.
Well, there's a couple of callbacks and everything you're saying right now. I'm telling you right now, you're covering like the first 30 episodes of our podcast.
Fair enough. Hey, that's what we want to do. We want to build the lore, and there's no other way we can build this Illuminati triad out without building the lore up and building the callbacks and the secret language and everything else. But yeah, finally, just going with the bugs in Starship Troopers, man. Come on, dude. Like hell, half the time the army's literally standing around topless. Why? Because it's Verhoeven directing. That's why. It's like, you're right. RoboCop. I need boobs. I need breasts. I need breasts everywhere. Same thing. It's the army. I need breasts. I need breasts everywhere. That was, clearly his style, and, all right, we were younger and more grateful for it and didn't consider the social applications and all the damage it was doing nevertheless. But still, yeah, you couldn't take that army out, but that's it there. That's my top three of just, why did you even bother showing up to the 90s, bro?
All right. I'm sorry, Josh, cause I love you, but if you go deeper into the Starship Trooper lore, and sadly, it's kind of comprehensive and deep, you come to find out that the bugs didn't throw the asteroid.
Oh, is it the skinnies they call them there? That was the skinnier aliens there. Yes, I did. I actually, that was a time I was just coming out of film school, and I had a lot of, I had no talent, but I've always had taste. And I've always had ideas, and the movies I wanted to truly make coming out of college is 1997. And again, there's no confirming this. You just have to sort of take my word for it. But I always wanted to make Lord of the Rings. There you go. Took to the early 2000s. I wanted to make Starship Troopers. That was a huge one going on there. And I want to make Ender's Game. Those were like the movies that like I always wanted to obviously take from literature. And books. We'll use literature loosely there.
I mean, that would be a pretty interesting episode too. What movies would we direct?
Oh, all right. Well, okay. RaShaun, as the librarian over there, we'll turn you to the note taker to make note of that, sir. Make note of that. 3 of clubs.
Yeah.
Brother Starchild has submitted an idea for a future episode, which always happens in the middle of our stuff. But all right, fair enough. I'm still just saying, the bugs, man. This is the best, and you had some weird ass vagina creature running around.
Oh yeah, the vagina creature.
The brain bug.
The brain, yeah, the bug brain, exactly.
I think you're being kind of unfair to an entire collection, an army, if you will, of trillions of soldiers and billions of different species. I mean, that's some organization right there, man.
I mean, enough, but all right. They had Michael Ironsides and they had a young Clancy Brown. So, okay, you had the Kurgan going against you. So, all right, the odds may have been a little more stacked against you than I'm giving you credit for, but should have been.
Clancy Brown, man, when he shows up, you just got to cross your hands, cross your chest, lean back and enjoy the ride because you know it's going to be some good shit.
Oh, absolutely, man. Come on. Even when he shows up, yeah, the best is
Highlander.
But Highlander, but I love his I love taking it from Highlander and his voiceover work on the various Star Wars series, both Clone Wars and Rebels. It's fantastic.
Oh, his voiceover work is amazing. He was Lex Luthor in the Justice League for a long time. Amazing.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Clancy, if you're out there, man, give us a ringy ding. We'll have you on the show anytime. You are definitely TSG material. But let me kick it on over. Let me pass the ball here. Let me do a nice little Pele style, bicycle kick, bringing it on over Rainbow, if you will, to the 3 clubs. Let's see what he's got, what he's come up with in my little rant there. I gave him a little extra time for his top 3 most useless villains of the 1990s.
All right. Well, what I have first is an apology to all our football or soccer, if you're in the United States, fans out there, because chances are if Pele was bicycling, kicking anything, it probably was in the past. So I apologize for that. But, Josh is trying. Josh is trying. He's trying. Birdman's trying. I'm
expanding my horizons.
I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm going to have a loss today. I'm not going to win. Today I'm going to lose, and I'm going to accept where I'm at. I'm going to accept that I will not cover all of 90s pop culture like I want to. I'm going to accept that directly after we stop recording, there's going to be a flood of ideas that all the things I wanted to say. I am the living embodiment of that scene or that episode in Seinfeld where when Costanza gets insulted in the middle of his meeting in a boardroom, and he doesn't come up with a good comeback. He comes up with, I don't know, whatever. And he spends forever thinking of the comeback. And then he says it only to find out that, or he has a good one, but then he has a counterpoint or a counter comeback. And that's when he totally falls on his face because he just insulted someone's wife who's in cancer. So I'm just going to accept my fate, and I'm going to accept it in the same way I wished most of these villains did. I wish that they understood where they were in life, where they were and how they were getting things done. Many times more successful than they're letting on. A good example is Neil McCauley from Heat, i.e. Robert De Niro. Strong movie, great movie. A lot of people love that movie. I've watched that movie maybe 4 or 5 times. To be fair, the movie's like 3 hours, so 4 to 5 times is a good amount of your life. And each time I'm watching it in the same way I did the first time, which is, so wait, you're going back? You accomplished all of this. I get it. You need a new crew. Most of your crew is dead, and the one that you think is alive, he's probably dead, but you can't find him. And you're going back? I guarantee you, man, you could probably find a way to kill this person. And I get you have the opportunity, but you're going back. In the same way with, I got to question people like Deacon Frost from Blade. Here's a guy, or a vampire, if you will, who actually won. He was of the subsect of his vampire clan. He was the non-natural vampire. However, a couple of fun things about this movie. One, he already figured out how to exist in sunlight, so I feel like he won there. Probably didn't need to have a fight with Blade. The other is that he takes out the upper class of his vampire clan that had been around for thousands of years, and he takes them out easily. So right there, I'm gonna go ahead and say, Deacon Frost, you won. If there is an L up against Blade, just take it and walk away. But no. You even confront the guy in the sunlight right there. You should have right there just been like, man, I'm chasing the wrong goal. I need to step back and walk away from this. I could point out things like my man Perret, who was Jack Palance's character in Tango and Cash. Here's the deal, man. The two detectives that could probably take you down, you successfully got into prison for life. I get that, sure, they escaped and no one saw that coming. I understand that. However, did you really need to pursue them the way you did? Did you? Because here I am watching a man who has a fortress in the middle of LA County. I just want to point that out to people. Look on the map. Yeah. That is impressive in itself. I know someone's going to look at it like, well, he's in the canyons. I'm like, okay, have you been to LA? Because I'll tell you right now, even if he's in the canyons with the fortress I'm looking at, you're going to be caught or known or something like that. The man has an entire veritable army to his side, yet he has kingpins reporting to him. This man he has his own R&D lab. Like literally, he has his own Q from Bond. He has all that, but nope, you decide to take on Sylvester Stallone and what's his name? I can't believe I'm forgetting his name because I love the guy.
Kurt Russell.
Thank you. Sorry, Kurt. If you're listening to this, you probably don't give a shit. So I could go with that. Frankly, the hard part of not to creating this list, and I do have to cross out Independence Day because I definitely had that on my list. So I'll cross that out. Thank you very much. Do have a problem with aliens making a cross-galactic interstellar trip and somehow not having a defense for a 3x5 hard disk with a virus attached to it, which, by the way, you guys got taken out by a generic virus. It wasn't even specific. That's how you guys got taken out.
Not ransomware, nothing. And McCaffrey could have stopped it.
Yeah, he could have. And if we're gonna stay on this scene and continue to break it down, who the hell was manning the sentry post when this ship flew in? Like, there's no ID number. There's no communications. There's no nothing. They just took a look. They're like, oh shit, is that Carl? I thought Carl was dead. Oh no, that's Carl. That's definitely Carl's. All right, cool. I'm in. There was no even Star Wars in 1977 knew that. Yeah, you probably want to be checking in on any craft, foreign or not, coming into your base of operations. But these guys,
Dave was on Century that day again. Nobody wants Dave on Century. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Right. So I could go into that, but I'll take that out. And the funny part is when it comes to, and I do want to spend hours talking about like every one of these sci-fi movies. There's so many that we haven't brought up. I feel like it's my duty to bring these up, only to forget about them as soon as I start talking and remember as soon as we hit the end of record. So
I know exactly what you mean.
You know what I mean? So I'll leave out a lot of them. I will point out a lot of their problems is the same problem that why I didn't put in any villain from a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie or any villain from a Steven Seagal movie, because as bad as they were, they could only be as good as the protagonists in those movies. And I'm here to tell you, people, if you have not watched not near a minute of any of these two IPs, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, they're not good. They're not even close. So the villains had to be worse than them. The villains had, think about it. You have Steven Seagal. You want to venture how good a villain could be on that? It's not going to be good. It's going to be hard. I could also go in the direction of, as we've been talking about sci-fi, with movies like Free Jack. or
sorry,
or Hardware. Two movies who somehow similar to Dune in the 80s felt like their best calling card was to have a musician on there. That was all they had, because I'm gonna tell you right now, when it came to Free Jack, you're talking about an individual, Anthony Hopkins, who felt like he had the technology to go back in time and to jack a body, and to use that to implant his consciousness into a new body so he can continue moving on to the future. I'm going to go ahead and say, if you have that technology, you probably don't need to go through all that bullshit. You probably have an option B that you're going to find out is very close, if not dead on to the solution. Quick side note, I'm going to share a little story with you that someone shared with me. I actually do know people who served in the special forces and Navy SEALs and Force Recon and all that good stuff. Stories they tell are literally like movies, but there's weird because you're listening to guys who laugh about things that could easily turn into life and death. And more often than not, if you listen to the full story, yeah, someone's dying in these stories. But these guys, they're conditioned, they go through it. Well, in one situation, these gentlemen were breaking into a compound to get their target. I'm not over here speaking out of pocket. These are things that you can probably look up. They were sitting there for a good 10 minutes trying to figure out the sentry system and how to break into this compound, until finally one of the lieutenants just looks over and is like, hey, Cap, I don't know, but maybe we can just walk around the corner and just go through this gate that's left open over here. That's literally what ends up happening with most of these movies. It's like, guys, if you just took a look to the right, you probably see the open gate. Just walk over there and walk in. You don't need to do all this histrionics. So I left out Demolition Man, because same things. Like, guys, you got technology to handle a lot of this. You probably could just leave these guys frozen and still get your little corruption done. Total Recall, Waterworld, you have all this ability behind you, Dennis Hopper, and you decide to chase Kevin Costner. But I know I'm out of time, but I led to this for a reason. Beverly Hills Cop 3. That is the worst villain that you're going to come across in the 90s. I promise you that. I promise you. You know why? Because my man John Saxon, who we bring up a few times on this podcast, rest in peace, good man. But his nefarious plan that got stopped by a cop from Detroit, and by the way, this is all taking place in Beverly Hills, and it is in a theme park. But his master plan was to print fake money, counterfeit money through the printers that they use at the theme park, that they create their theme park dollars. I'm just gonna go ahead and point out that I get where you're coming from, but if that is as far as the plan as you got, then you deserve to get busted by a cop from out of town. You deserve it. You were quite literally the worst villain of the 90s.
It does come a little across like the irony that Dr. Evil was trying to do $1 million, right? But even that was more tongue in cheek and more self-aware. Like, this guy's the actual Dr. Evil. Like, I'm gonna print $1 million.
Well, like, the way the case gets broken in the movie, and I get it's a movie, they have to make it so the protagonist wins, or at least comes close. However, it's one of those things where, like, guys, hold on. So it took the cop from Detroit to figure out that dollars have serial numbers. You guys were printing counterfeit dollars left and right. You didn't figure that out yet? How did you get that far? You don't even deserve to have a parking pass, let alone the printer to kick out those counterfeit dollars or the movie dollars. And I left out so many people. I wanted to bring up the dude from Mallrats. I mean, I left out a lot of people.
I can understand. Look, we limit you. I mean, that's part of the format. I'll be honest. We push you into a corner. We try and put you under pressure and squeeze you into a diamond, my friend. But I just want to point out your list had a lot of Wesley Snipes on it. I don't know if that was coincidental, but you had some Blade, you had some Demolition Man. Just say some prime Wesley and his Wesley.
You know what? Since I blew right past it, I totally left this out because we talked about him a few times. But yeah, Shredder. Shredder, you're not skipping this one. I'm sorry. You go ahead and knock me down, Josh. You go ahead and cut me out. I don't care if you just leave this part in. But Shredder, no, goddamn it, you're right there. You're lucky I left your ass out. It's only because you seem to keep coming back. But my man, you couldn't beat 4 freaking mutated turtles and a rat. And you know why you couldn't? Because you recruited kids. What are you doing? How did you get this far? What the fuck is the matter with you? Your master plan was a couple of mutants of your own, and then kids, runaway kids too. Like he didn't just go to like he didn't go to like ROKs. I mean, like a military school or something like that. You didn't get like a bunch of jocks or something. You got literally the kids who got kicked out of every single group known to their high school. Seth Green was the best you could do, probably, and Sam Rockwell.
Don't be hating. Don't be hating. Well,
I mean, Shredder, you had it coming, man. You had it coming.
Shredder really did kind of have it cut. I can't even debate you on that one. I'm like, I'm almost kicking myself for leaving Shredder off the list, but that's because he's pretty bad. But it was just all the aliens, man. Just all the aliens. Like, could have gone into Alien Resurrection as we were talking about earlier this week, you and I, RaShaun, but going back into it. Well, I gotta go to, bring it from my stars to RaShaun's star to the star child and give him his 10 minutes in the batter's box. Let's hear what he's got for his top 3 most useless villains of the 1990s.
I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult because I actually more often than not want to like the villain more than the hero. For me, I don't know, heroes because they have to be the hero or main character or whatever, they're just, I don't know, usually not as deep. It's, obviously if it's well written. If I have no use for the fucking villain, then I'm not going to get into the conflict. Like I don't care about the movie, and I think that's important, so I definitely have a category for movies where you're not supposed to take even within the, framework of the movie, you're not supposed to take the villain that seriously. Okay. But if I don't take him seriously at all, then we're just watching, exercise. Like there's really no reason why do you even have a script? What's the point of a story? I don't care. This guy is just here to lose. And so if we're talking about that, I got to come out swinging with Mr. Freeze from Batman and Robin. That's the Joel Schumacher, just absolute fucking horror show, and it should be on the list for like the worst because people have apologized for that movie. That's how awful it was.
The Canadian government has apologized for Bryan Adams.
Yeah,
you apologize for. There's that 4 horrible people in that movie.
Which movie?
I'm with you. It's just in Batman and Robin. It's like you kind of just close your eyes and throw a dart. You're gonna hit a really bad villain no matter what.
Oh yeah, they had a few, but I'm gonna go with Mr. Freeze because he talked the most. It was actually sad because it's right when people had given up on that character, you know what I mean? So like that was Mr. Freeze until Batman the Animated Series, but otherwise that was Mr. Freeze, and that was really fucking unfortunate. And worst of all, is there anything worse than an unfunny pun? And the puns just kept on going. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, because he is a muscle-bound cornball, was just loving every one. You could tell he will play Mr. Freeze for 20 fucking sequels. He would not care, I guarantee you. Another bad guy that's supposed to be, I mean, in a way, in Jurassic Park, the villains were the raptors, but they're animals. They're kind of doing what they're supposed to be doing. And, you're the one who built the park. Now I'm talking about Dennis Nedry from Jurassic Park. I mean, how he ended up with that job, I do not know. No one would fucking hire this guy, even as an IT guy. And I've seen some pretty horrible looking IT guys. You still wouldn't hire this dude. No one would hire someone this uncooperative with this, farm of people killers. Like no one is going to do it. But somehow Dennis manages to get in, and he has just first of all, he reeks of villain, And he's just has that air of the guy that isn't going to get away with this. He's too much of a dick. He's not. You knew he wasn't going to get away with it. You didn't think he was going to die the way he did, but you knew that he was just such a mean rascal. He should have been chasing Macaulay Culkin, not being on this island of people killers. But go ahead, Josh. Yeah, right. The poster boy for bad villains in that era was also, you mentioned Dennis Hopper in Waterworld. I got you beat. I was worried you were going to mention Dennis Hopper from the Super Mario Brothers movie. Now, to be fair, again,
I really didn't want to.
Yeah, it's not fair to his legacy, but it's one of those movies where, all right, fine. Again, the whole movie is terrible, but the villain is so damn dumb. It's so fucking dumb. Yeah, this isn't even a conflict. This isn't even a movie. We're just gonna watch you guys kind of dance around for an hour and a half and maybe laugh a couple of times, ideally, but I doubt it. My absolute, I'm not gonna say useless villain, but probably my best villain in a series was Jet Li's Once Upon a Time in China. It was always just, evil white guy who's just here to get beat up and show everybody how fucking awesome Jet Li and the Chinese are. That's why this white guy is here. This is what I wanted from Django that people don't appreciate. Like that's all I wanted, Like I just wanted unspeakable acts of violence being inflicted on slave masters, full stop. All right. But in between, the last proper Shaft movie and Django, Once Upon a Time in China, I think they ended up making about 4 of them. And even if there was a politician or the police chief that was like the evil Chinese henchman of the colonializer, it doesn't matter. The white people were the villains, and they were absolutely stereotypical and awful. And they would always get their ass kicked by Jet Li in the most just, over the top fashion. If I was going to say there was something that stood slightly in the epicness of blaxploitation films, it might be Once Upon a Time in China. Like it really gave you that feel good, fuck these racists feelings. But on the other end of that, I am going to now chastise Jet Li for a Lethal Weapon 4.
Thank you.
No. If Jet Li gets in a fucking fight with old ass Riggs and old ass Murtaugh, they're getting their ass kicked by Jet Li. Like that's what the fuck is happening. It reminded me of when Bruce Lee was on the 1960s Batman and I got into air quotes fight with Robin and didn't destroy him in 0.3 seconds. It's like no. This is racist. All right, Bruce Lee would beat the shit out of Robin the same way Jet Li should absolutely beat the shit out of old Riggs and Murtaugh. And I'm just being polite because if I'm telling the truth, I think he would have beat the shit out of young Riggs and Murtaugh too.
Without a doubt.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
He would have beat the shit out of young Riggs and Murtaugh. So I'm glad that we can all agree on that. Moving on, I got to throw in a couple of anime characters because
I'm sorry, and young Gary Busey.
And young Gary Busey.
Which somehow was a threat in the first one.
No, he wasn't. But yeah,
I'm gonna fight Jet Li.
Yeah, we can totally pretend it's fine. Which other one was I gonna? Oh yeah. The villain in Stargate didn't buy it. As much as I loved Stargate, just the villain in that just did not scare me. And I feel like that appearance was supposed to be like, this is her being him being innocent. And I was just like, no. I think he should actually make everyone dinner. And we should talk about this because Kurt Russell does not want to be here. He's already made that clear. Kurt Russell has zero desire to be here. Even though Josh already touched on it, I got to touch on Street Fighter 2 also, just really quick, because I said I was going to touch on Street Fighter 2, so I had to make sure I mentioned it. Street Fighter 2, M. Bison was hilarious. And this was supposed to be, at best, just like, a basic action movie. Like, they were making tons of, tournament action fighting movies at the time with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Just make another one, right? It just went wrong. But yeah, back to anime really quick. I want to talk about Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. I don't know what his boy crush is on Goku, but oh God, they made a bitch out of that villain. They really did. Like, he turned into the typical angsty other guy that's not as good as the main character formula. It started with him. And Frieza. I like the androgyny of Frieza. I don't get anything else about Frieza. And I don't know why they keep dragging him out, but probably because, he is you won't feel bad about that villain getting nonsensically, handled every other episode. And yeah, that's it.
Oh, all right. I think I hear a shirt and I don't get, I like the androgyny about Frieza, but I don't get anything else. Get to work on that, Craig. I think there's a shirt in that for sure to go with it.
I don't get the androgyny about Frieza.
Thank you actually for touching on Street Fighter for me, just because, the point I left out, I'm having a RaShaun moment here. So I'm going to circle back. Ouch. Is that Bison should have won. Okay. He was like, I don't care if you have a cancer riddled Raul Julia, he's cooler. And Jean-Claude Van Damme was snorting fields of cocaine in the day. Like, at that point, his heart
allegedly
exploded.
Fields of cocaine.
Just whatever, whatever kilos it was, they were just shipping it into him directly, on the speedboats so that he could snort it during that filming. He's all over the fucking place. And a fine, putting bunny quotes on that, a fine gentleman, but I will still rank him higher only slightly as a human being than Steven fucking Seagal, who is a terrible, terrible fucking human being.
Oh yeah, because we didn't even touch
slightly higher than the double.
Only
S?
Slightly higher than just saying. Because Jean-Claude Van Damme has not actually immigrated to Russia and is sitting now at the right hand of Vladimir fucking Putin, talking about what a great guy he is. Like, right. When I see Jean-Claude do that, then they're going to be on the same level. So fuck them both. But really, like, that is like Steven Seagal actually became the evil villain in his movies. Like, he got fat and sits next to the dictator, and he's become the underboss in real fucking life.
And totally useless against someone who knows what the fuck they're doing.
And absolutely the case. And that's been well documented by the fact that someone choked him out till he shit himself. So just, again, allegedly going on that.
I just want to say to our fans that, even in those circumstances, I would say it's ill-advised to test Jean-Claude Van Damme. I just want to say that. That's kind of like, you know what I mean? That's kind of like, even the worst NBA player will still fucking body you on a court. Like, just don't do that. Don't test on Jean-Claude Van Damme.
However, kids, if you want to go,
honestly, even at his physique and age now, I still don't know if I'd fuck with Steven Seagal.
You just beat me to
that man.
Like,
that man has forgotten more about hurting people than I have ever put into practice.
All right, I'm going to point you all to an episode of Behind the Bastards. There's a 2-parter done on Steven Seagal. We'll leave it there, but you might not feel as intimidated by him after if you go through some of his background and some of his stories. But
it's not so much intimidated as much as it's just like,
understand.
I'm going to think it over.
Yeah. No, I'm with Greg. I'm with Greg in the sense that, look, I've worked in a few bars. I think of all of us, we established ourselves in a few bars. So we've seen a few different bar fights, in heavy air quotations, go down. Most of us, and I do mean most of us, like 99% of the world's population does not actually know how to fight. So when you're up against someone who even knows a little bit, it's a little.
That's daunting. What I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm with you. that being said, kids out there, fans, if you want to go world star on us and pick a fight with Steven Seagal whenever you see it, I promise you, I will promote it to the last of my breath.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, somebody who thought, Brian Scalabrine, he used to be a player for the Boston Celtics, and like I guess some guys were shit talking him on Twitter, and were like, come out to the court. Yeah, you remember that? Yeah, I think I mentioned it before. And so he went and he fucking destroyed him. Even retired and older, he's still better than most of the population of the planet.
Yep.
So yeah, that was stupid.
I do like the Brian Scalabrine argument for physical acumen. Without a doubt, the white guy, white Italian guy on the Boston Celtics, without a doubt. Well, that is fantastic. But if any of our fans do kick the shit out of Steven Seagal, we will TikTok the ever loving shit out of that. I promise you that.
Every frame rate.
Yeah, right absolutely.
Every frame rate.
We will absolutely put you. We'll make you a TikTok overnight sensation. The TSG has got your back. Well, speaking of TikTok, what are we on TikTok? The Steam G's?
No, that's Twitter.
Twitter. We're the Steam G's on Twitter. What TikTok or the Steam gentlemen?
I believe on TikTok we're the same as our IG. Do you even Steam, bro?
Do you even Steam, bro? And that's so check us out there. Check us out on the Facebook. We are the Steam Gentlemen Podcast. On the Instagram, do you even Steam, bro? Go on out. We've been working the socials hard, having a lot of fun, working that meme love. RaShaun has been putting up some fantastic TikTok work, going back through as a retrospective of our back catalog. Words I just love to use in all seriousness.
Thank you very much. But I'm nothing up against your meme game, which is basically getting us most of the looks. So thank you, new listeners. Welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you.
And by good
big shout out,
metaphorically.
Big shout out to the Bruce Campbell fan club. That page has been excellent to us. So just wanted to say thank you. We love Bruce, by the way. Hail to the king. So welcome welcome in. So, I know it might not seem inherently obvious how we fit in, but we fit in because we love Bruce. And Bruce, anytime you want to come on the show, I'd die. I'd have a fanboy conniption fit. It'd be too much. But I'll try and hold it together, Bruce. We love you.
He's not kidding, and he won't.
Yeah, no, I won't. I'll try. It'll take some serious medication. I'll do whatever I can do. But well, thank you anyways for coming on out and listening to us, do our little recap of those villains that really just should have packed it in. Okay. Shouldn't have quit the day job as it goes there. But as we head on out into the rest of our week and into the weekend, Greg, got anything special going on there? Star Child.
Oh, I'm recovering still from last weekend. So probably finish recovering. And, this whole thing has got me wanting to watch, good movies with good villains. So I'll probably do that too.
Excellent. Well, that's what we want to inspire. We want to inspire some good pop culture vintage here.
The villain's more important. I've seen, good movies with, bad heroes, but good villains. But there's no such thing as a good movie with a bad villain.
Okay.
We can fight about it later.
Yeah. All right. We'll take it off air. But in that
Seven,
meantime,
I'm looking at you, Seven.
I'm just saying, taking it back then. So apparently we know now what the Three of Clubs has got on tap for at least later this week is rewatching Seven, maybe. Who knows?
I will not actually. I will be watching The Batman in about half hour or so as soon as I finish up a little bit of work. Like I said, I'm going to do my best to not beat myself up for the things I left out, being I only had 10 minutes and there's a cacophony of material that we can go over. But if I can get the camera to zoom in, John Travolta, you did not dodge a bullet. I did not bring up Broken Arrow, but it does not mean that it wasn't on the list or it does not need to be spoken about. You and us, my friend, we need to have some conversations because Broken Arrow, that needs a talking to. And that starts your bad arc.
Oh, I mean, he did have the line. One thing I want to give him, he had one of my favorite lines ever of any villain. He just looked at the guy and says, "Will you just die?" Which is still one of my favorites, right? So I'll give him that.
When you watch Broken Arrow, Battlefield Earth makes a lot more sense on how it came to
be. This I'll give you. Boy, by the time we hit Battlefield Earth and Scientology's just got, well, I mean, it always had its hooks in them, but damn.
Also, dude. Iggy Pop, that was the other musician I left out when I was talking about how 90s sci-fi movies decided that the way they're going to save their shitty ass movie and by default shitty villains is to toss in a random agent rock star. So if it wasn't Mick Jagger randomly, Iggy Pop showed up for Hardware. Have fun with that.
Yeah, there is that. There is that.
Wearing a shirt, which is really weird.
Weird the one time.
That's the weirdest part.
You chose now though. Okay. Not the usual gig for Iggy, and definitely I prefer to think of him in his music much more so than Hardware. Hardware. Oof, we could do a whole episode on that shit show. But all right. Well, thank you all for coming out. I am going to, keep my kids alive. I'm in a little countdown to a vacation where I will be doing some Star Wars cosplay. Yeah, that shit's happening. It's for my kids. They're very excited. Even my wife has gotten on board. So we are all ready. There is going to be some help me Obi Josh Kenobi going on there. That's just saying, when the kids are asleep. But stuff's going to happen. It's going to happen. Copious amounts of money are going to be shoveled over to Disney because, they need it clearly. That's, going to help out. We're going to help out with the Disney crew there.
Quick two things. One, for our listeners, just so you know why we don't have a clue what we're doing for the weekend. We're recording on Monday. So as the Birdman's asked us, I just want to point out, we're recording this on Monday. And then the second thing is, how much are your family really volunteering to do this? And if I could toss in a third, I disagree with Greg. I finally disagree with with Greg on this episode. I didn't think I thought I was going to make it all the way through, but nope. He found something for me to disagree with. Puns, even really bad ones. Actually, I would argue bad puns have the best lifespan. They're horrible in the moment. They're horrible a couple of years after you look back at it. But when you go back to those really bad puns like 20, 30 years later, they land so damn hard because they're so bad.
They're so bad. They're so bad. They age like a fine wine.
They're consistently bad.
Well, with that, we're going to ask you to head on over to Apple Podcasts or iTunes, rate and review the show. Please send us up the charts. We want to go on out there. And this is how we're planning on taking over the world, through bad pop culture references, bad puns, and by me, coercing my family. Bad puns and me coercing my family to cosplay Star Wars for a couple days down at Disney World. Like this is going to happen. This is our plan. We are the bad villains that we're teasing today. This is, in fact, yes, as an evil triumvirate trying to rule the world through pop culture references does. This is what we do. But yes, please help us out on that, and really so we can shill some dick pills. Like that's as we said, that's the evil plan behind the evil plan, is so that we can sell you some dick pills or some purple mattresses or something like that. So
AVS.
In the meantime, say it one more time. We got the Zoom drag.
I said AVS. Give us a call. Andy Van Slyke. Give us a call.
Hey. Absolutely. We're here. We got that number. But in the meantime, this is your buddy Josh the Birdman saying keep your heat up and keep your head of steam on.